Welcome, everybody. Glad you can join us on our second meeting of the month. We're all here, so roll call is done. First, we will be doing adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have any comments they'd like to make on our current agenda? Any changes or any additions?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second to approve the agenda? So Larry has a second. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All right, on to the adoption of the consent agenda. Everything for the consent agenda is on the back of your guys' agenda page. Are there any questions on the consent agenda?
I do have some questions, just want to raise at this point, not necessarily pull anything off. There are two cash expenses distributions on page 5 of our consent agenda on the checklist. Looks like they're from the general fund, if I'm reading this correctly, and maybe Michelle can help me out or somebody else, but both are May 11th. The first one is right at the top for $352.92. It's an expense from the general fund for labor distribution. And then the other one is about 5 or 6 down. Again, what I understand to be the general fund cash distribution of $5,556. Again, out of the general fund. Is that regular pay, we don't know.
I think they've been on there before, and Mary has explained those. That's how it comes up as the payroll,
So it is payroll.
just from past comments. And that's what I assumed they were.
Yeah, if you add those two, it goes up with the
Okay.
pay register.
Is everything else added correctly? If you looked at the more
Okay.
detail, they added up correctly.
Good, thank you.
Assume
And then on the, what I'm guessing, the difference between the paid register on page 7 of our packet and page 8, which is employee pay hours monthly, I'm guessing one is just a paycheck without the benefits, exemptions, insurance, and everything like that, right?
yeah, one is net and the other is
Okay.
gross.
All right?
Yeah, pay hours, if anybody else is looking at, the employee pay hours monthly, is the gross wage. I think the other one is in the packet before that.
That was all I had on that.
Any other questions for the consent agenda?
Yeah, I have a question on the pay hours. On Mary's there that shows 4.5 hours of overtime, but there's only 67 hours of regular time. Know how that's,
You know, I can't answer for her, but I believe she had PTO on there, so I don't know if that can be included or if that would come up different. We could ask her to tell us why. That's a good question.
okay.
I did see the overtime and that we did have since we're talking about it, we did have a chat and, I requested no more overtime for right now with our office staff. Just cause we are well over and we have a full staff coming up, so. But we can make a note and I can ask her, she'll be back tomorrow, so we can ask her.
I can check, personnel policy manual too. Generally speaking, that's what happens, if it happens after you taking your PTO.
Okay.
I'll send her an email and make sure she lets everyone know. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, I'll need to approve the consent agenda then. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion regarding the consent agenda?
One point on the invoice, the Abdo invoice, we got, information on what that was about. We talked about that last month, it was a March 31 invoice. There was a charge on there for, Brad Felsteck from Abdo Financial Solutions. We did get an email, what Brad said, inquired about 2-hour charge from September of 2022 on the March 2023 invoice. This was time I spent working on the Financial Solutions Group on bank reconciliations that I coded to the wrong project in our system. It was caught when we billed for the audit time from September in there by mistake. So that was Abdul Financials, that was Abdul that made the mistake in the coding. Was that an accounting mistake?
He himself, it sounds like he miscoded it. Must submit timesheets or something for all their billables.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, we have a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We do need to approve the minutes. They were listed in the packet. These are just a minute, actually, there are the minutes from last agenda, so our last meeting, so I do want to, bring that attention to the council. Unfortunately, Mary's not here for us to ask for them, so, I would like to, obviously, we'll speak about that in June, but, I will reach out to find out why those aren't in there, if they'll be in the June packet, because we need to stay on top of things.
So what minutes are we missing then?
First meeting of the month, May, was it 9th or?
Okay, and then still nothing?
And January, they're done on her desk. She wanted us to do it again, I'm not sure where that is, but I'll follow up again on that. I did see him, so.
Right here.
There in the middle. Okay, so, let's move on. We're gonna start with the old business first. We have an update on the Schaefer contract, fire contract. Troy, you wanna tell us what's going on there?
We do,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
It was.
I know. Public forum, we have
Okay.
Diane Nelson that would like to speak.
Okay.
Thanks for catching me.
Well, I have 3 different topics and I'll try to get through it quickly, but, the first one I wanted to just do a quick, thank you, not a quick thank you, but a thank you and a recap from the cleanup day, which, was a success, and, we owe a big thank you to Sandra, she coordinated the whole thing, but we also had, some of the Lions showed up, some of you were there, we had business owner, a couple that own with August were there helping. We had a few from our group, the TFCC. We had a new resident that I met who wants to get involved with the community. And then Paul was helping. So I don't know if you noticed the ridge behind Shisago House, how cleaned out that is. There are a few things left that we would like to propose as projects, and I had several people come up to me at the end and say, let us know when the next project date is, what we're gonna do. Suggestion was to paint the guardrail, it's so rusty, you could, get that painted. We also, would like to clean the trash receptacles. The tops have dried ice cream and gunk all over them. We could probably power wash them. And possibly get more surrounds, so everything's a little bit more consistent down there. Fewer just like plain, receptacles without the wooden surround on them. Juneberry Cafe, that was one thing they asked, if, they could be supplied with a receptacle right there. People are leaving trash on their tables and stuff. But we did have a question about that, like who does provide? Are the city own the receptacles or, okay, who dumps them?
Kevin and Paul are looking at new and updated ones,
Oh.
because they're difficult to work with too, to get the trash out of them.
Oh, okay,
So they are looking at some options for that.
so the city does the dumping too,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Because we were given other information, so I needed to clarify that. So that was just a little aside. The other thing I thought if, a group still wants to meet and work on some projects, it was, to kind of clean up and redo the information center down there that has outdated info in the cabinet. maybe do a little painting. People wanna help. That was the big takeaway I got, that people really do wanna help. And then, a few of us have put together some thank you notes for the businesses downtown. Just, a little note thanking them for being part of our community and, their contributions and commitment to, the city. So we'll be handing them out with a little gift. We're still working on what to maybe give as a gift from us. And then lastly, there were just a couple safety concerns that we kind of noticed was the sidewalks, in front of the Beat Store and, the Drewberry, big, places that need to be filled in and repaired. The Riverwalk, while we were back doing some clearing behind Shuni's, a couple of girls came up the steps and they saw that it was cordoned off, but we were told that it was supposed to be cordoned off below because of the footings or something. So I didn't know, we wanted to bring that up. And then there's a few paths that go behind Shuni's that look like they go straight down, and we were just maybe wondering at some point if that could be barricaded. Cause it looks like people are climbing up and down through the woods there and coming up and so, anyway, that's that. And then, the community garden, I wanted to give a quick update on that. I talked to Brand and I told him that I spoke with Jason Reedy, the elementary principal, bumped into him, and we just got chatting, and he said that, a group of teachers, residents, staff took a bus ride to the site and kind of walked through, assessed it, and, he said that it sounds like they're gonna be putting in a parking lot, maybe. And then I brought up, do you think that would be a place for a community garden? And he said that's a possibility.
Brian Woods?
Yeah. Yes, it would take some clearing, but, there again, we could probably get some help on that, and if we are having raised beds, maybe it wouldn't be like we're digging in the ground. But, he thought that was a possibility, and he liked that perhaps the safe routes to school would have that section, completed so the students could walk, there and maybe even tend a garden. So we're gonna kind of look into that for now. The other thing that's come up is, Taylor's Falls resident, friend of mine, actually, she lives about 4 or 5 miles out on Vista Road. She has a big piece of land, that she would be willing to donate. She has a liability rider already because she, has an Airbnb. So, she said it would be a win-win, but I told her that's probably not, the best location and far out. But I just wanted to mention that. I was thinking about, that Chisago Lakes Foundation grant, the Big Idea grant. And I didn't know if that was something we could work on applying for to help move the clearing and, get the garden going in summer anyway. So, and I think we've been invited to the EDC in June to come and talk about, a little bit more about that partnership, working on that. So that's all I have on that. And then, moving along, no questions, right? Cherry Hill Park, the flowers are amazing. It looks beautiful. I walk there a lot with my dog, and, it's just really fun to see everything kind of coming up, and I know we have work to do there too. And Kevin's, recruiting people to take sections to, weed and maintain. I did wanna mention though, there's a trash can there at the park. And there's a bag in the trash can that's been there for a month probably. It needs to be emptied, and I didn't know, who does that, but, I know they're mowing, so I just thought a reminder to get that out of there. The picnic table bench is broken. There's one good bench, and then, there's some pea gravel that gets you know, thrown inside on that, underneath the pavilion. But there again, that's a group project. You know, we could get these folks together who want to do more to help. We could do something up there to help, with that. So, oh, and then that just reminds me, a few people have asked about the public bathrooms up at Heritage Park, who's maintaining them, who's replenishing sanitizer, who's cleaning the toilets, who's making sure there's toilet paper up there, because I think it's been overlooked a little bit. People have been up there, yeah.
The, Kevin and Paul are checking on Monday and Friday
Perfect.
and cleaning if it's needed.
Yep.
And Ed Rowe is on a weekly
Pro sewer services.
service as well.
Clean, comes and cleans it out, okay.
Yeah.
Once often?
I think it's once a week.
Once a week, okay, all right.
They do all the portable toilets, the lines are,
Okay.
the overlook,
Okay.
everything.
Good, good,
But they will be pumped Tuesday or Wednesday this week.
okay. Getting ready for the weekend, okay, all right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Troy, Schaefer Fire
Oh.
contract update.
All right. Let me find it here. Okay, so yes, the Schaefer board approved it, the 2023-2024 contract. I want to thank, and I'm gonna mess up her last name, but thank Faith Flickscheidel, the Schaefer Township Clerk, and I want to thank Schaefer board member Mark Stovern for working with me. They came up and met with us at City Hall. It was a great meeting. I think they feel really good about it, and I do too. I do appreciate all their help and their assistance. The contract amount is for $19,032 per year for the 2 years of 23 and 24. Payment will be made to the city of Taylor's Falls in 4 payments over the next 2 years, and those payments will be made on the 15th of June and December of each year. And the contract was in the packet, so.
I don't believe this is something that we need to approve. Do we?
Yeah.
Do we still have to?
Yeah, we have to approve it, and then I think, if I understand, Mary will send it over to the Schaefer board for
So
their
they haven't signed it
signature.
yet? Okay.
They haven't signed it yet.
Okay.
They have approved it at their May 11th meeting, I believe.
We wanna ask questions now or wait for a motion?
Oh, yeah, let's do a motion. So, I need a motion to approve, the Schaefer Fire contract update.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Lee seconded, we can go into discussion now.
Hopefully, just have a couple of quick questions. Number one, I'm just curious if Fritz has reviewed it and approved all the language.
I've looked at it, yes.
Okay. And what's the difference between 21, 22, and 23, 24 from a financial perspective, do you know?
16,000, so it's about $3,000 difference.
Okay. And was it the percentages that really changed?
I think a lot of it was estimated market value, had a lot to do with it, especially with Taylor's Falls. And then I guess I don't know, how it was done in the past, but what I did is I broke down, to get estimated market values for only those areas where our fire department serves. So I didn't do all of Schaefer Township, and that's something that Faith helped me out with, or brought to my attention. So I don't know, that could have something to do with it as well. The budget, we did get a compliment from the Schaefer board. They thanked us for, the fire department for keeping their budget in line and low. That helps a lot too, bring the price down.
It's nice to get that done, thank you. I guess I just have one point to consider for the future though. I'm not aware that any of our capital costs are factored into what we charge out. So it's seems to me that TF is bearing the burden of the entire cost of capital, and we're not charging that out.
I mean, as far as the capital that the fire department has,
New
it's already been
trucks,
used as their
yeah.
budget, right,
Non-operating, yeah.
right.
Yeah. So just something to think about in the future.
I think definitely, I mean, especially since we're gonna be going into budget season really soon, we need to definitely take that into consideration, because they're gonna need a truck, and we have 3 years to make sure that they have a truck. I think pumper 2 was done in 3 years, so. If we find that, I mean, this is a flat fee, right, so if all of a sudden we're busier than ever going to Schaefer, can this be renegotiated?
Well, no, that would be reflected in the next year's budget, though, because the accumulated runs are part of the whole. And I would hope Jake would certainly, bring that to my attention. Well, and he will, because he'll give me, in the next 2 years, he'll give me the runs. I think if the fire department does see an increase in runs to any of these areas, I would hope they should let us know. Especially if it's gonna be measurable and it could make a difference.
Thank you, Trent. Larry, you have anything?
No, this all looks good. Nice job, Troy.
Thank you.
Lee?
Looks good. A lot of work into it. Thanks, Sean.
Tim, anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody? Nope, all right. Well, we have already a second on the table, so, let's go ahead and vote to approve the Schaefer Fire contract. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, update on the city coordinator, zoning administrator, this is fairly quick. We did get an acceptance, email and a signed letter yesterday, for the June 20th start date. And so we'll get all that information in the next packet, so the public can see all that, and, we'll, welcome Elizabeth to the team on the 20th, but she's super excited, so. Any questions for me? I mean, there's nothing that we need to go on that one, so.
Just in the interest of transparency, letting everybody know, what do we have for a pay rate, for a starting pay rate?
It's $32 an hour, and then the PTO time was negotiated, with, starting with 1 full week of PTO. And, regular accruing in our policy will stay in place. Also, 90-day, or 6-month review, we did not include any, raise after the 6-month review. We gave her that ahead of time.
After 3 months.
Or after 3 months, thanks, Aaron. Yep. So. Any other questions? Okay. And like I said, I'll get all that into the next packet. It just came after the packet was already out, so. Next one would be the Bolton and Mink update on the proposal that they gave us the last meeting, on helping us get our zoning and ordinances not updated, but in order with, the amendments behind of them. I know people are wondering why pay I don't have it in front of me, but it was $7,000, I believe, $7,000. And to just be transparent, we have multiple books with ordinances. We have a flash drive with ordinances that is the most up-to-date from 2007, but there were amendments done in the past that weren't correctly put in. And so we're finding them in one book, and Bolton Mink's gonna help us get them all in one location so that we can put them back on the website. I did have them pulled off the website, because we don't have the correct amendments on them all. And I don't want to give the wrong information to anybody, so, that's the thought process of what they're going to do. Whether that's what we do or not, I can't tell everybody what to vote for, but, that's what they're gonna help us get it, so that when Elizabeth comes in, she has one thing to start going with, and she can help us update them then, the proper way. So, I met with one person in town here, Becky Kennedy, and I explained it to her, and she goes, well, you should have said it that way at the last meeting. So, shame on me, but it's just, there's a lot of pieces everywhere, and we need to pull together so that we do it correctly, so.
One thing on that, Mayor, if I may, I did check out the Lindstrom website, both their city code and their zoning ordinance pages have disclaimers right on them. Which just lets people know that there are amendments, you can go and check those amendments, if those amendments are available, you could click on them. If they're not, people can be notified that they can contact the zoning administrator, which we will soon have. That's just something we consider, we could still have it on there with a disclaimer on the website. Let everybody know that they're in the works, we're working as best as we can, and if they have any questions, they can contact the zoning administrator. But just an option I wanted to throw out there.
Did Elizabeth opine on, give her thoughts on what she would prefer?
You know, she said that she was super excited, to help update everything. I'll be totally honest, I told her that there is a lot of work to do, and we're trying to set her up with success
First,
before she starts. But she knows that she's gonna be very, very busy. And she sounded really pumped on the phone when I talked to her about it, so, she's definitely up to it. Whether we want her to do it all or not, that's what we can decide tonight, if we wish. So, I guess, if we wanna move forward with this, we'd need a motion to accept the proposal, to hire Bolton Mink for that contract, $7,000 and some change, I don't have it in front of me. I need a motion to do that in a second.
I have that for you, ma'am, $7,840.
Okay.
This would include a couple things, just the scope of the work, project management, review current ordinance, and consult with stakeholders is another one that they'll do for that. I have a couple, we can do the motion second if you want, and then discuss that.
Sure.
Is that how you want to do that? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And I will make a motion to approve this.
Okay. Do I have a second on the Bolton Mink proposal?
I'll second it.
Okay. Have a second by Larry. We can move into discussion now, Troy.
Sure, thank you. I just want to thank Harry for the trips that he's made up here. I want to thank him for his honesty and his integrity on the, I think it was the May 8th meeting or the last meeting we had, yeah. I did want to mention the Lindstrom website and the disclaimers that are option for us. I think this is too important. Over the past couple of weeks, I've come to the realization this is too important for us to wait too long on. We have to start moving on this right away. We are taking some actions right now as far as the ordinances go in the community, and it's long overdue. But we do need to get these up to speed as soon as possible. And I think it would be beneficial for Elizabeth when she comes here too. She will have a lot to do already, and I think if she can hit the ground running with Harry already working on this, that would be good. I do talk to some people and have some concerns on my own that I just wanted to bring out at this point. One is ESG, which is the environmental, social, and governance movement that some contractors and zoning contractors seem to promote from time to time. I have concerns about urban and suburban sprawl in the Taylor's Falls. My concern will be throughout this process is that I'm concerned about building and zoning philosophies that direct Taylor's Falls to a greater good that lies outside the city limits. So our focus needs to stay on this town, the character of this town. And I would hope that we would all do that. Like I said, this isn't just me. I've talked to other residents. They have concerns about this too, and they just come right up to me and they go, "What about ESG? You know, what are you going to do about it?" So that's it. Other than that, thank you.
Lee, do you have anything?
No.
All right. Larry?
Well, I think that this is a wise move because, you know, Harry's already somewhat familiar with the procedure, what needs to be done. And I think it's a good idea to have another set of eyes on it, Elizabeth, because she'll be, you know, taking over after this is all said and done, so.
Tim?
I would just like to concur with Troy's comment about Harry. Without solicitation, a number of residents have said what a good job he's doing too. So just wanted to get that stated as well, but otherwise, yeah, I'm all in favor of this.
I'm in favor of it, I've just seen a lot of time they've put in, especially Harry's been up here for many, many meetings. 2 meetings without ever billing us, he drove up, and he's went above just trying to get this. I mean, he's helped us with minutes at some of our meetings, he calls and makes sure that we have what he has. As far as movements and ESG movement or whatnot, I think doing this, we definitely don't have to worry about it. I mean, we wanna keep an eye on them, but I mean, just doing the updating and getting everything together, that's one thing. If we move forward with anything else from them,
Right.
I definitely think, we still hold it's our town, if they recommend something, we just need to make sure that we're doing what's right for Taylor's Falls and the citizens. So, but thanks for bringing that up, because I think that's important to keep our charm for sure. So, anybody else have any? Okay, well, let's go ahead and vote on the Vulcan Make proposal for updating zoning and ordinances. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
They are on vacation too, Harry and Jenny, so I'll have Mary and Michelle, you guys can send them an email, letting them know. I think they're out until the 26th though. All right, let's move on to new business. We have, number 1 would be the past due water bills. There were a number of people that received, their letters went out last week, for anybody 90 days or longer overdue. We did keep names off of it this time around, because we really haven't been on top of it, and we don't have a proper procedure, I don't think, on how we're going to handle this. I think this is a good start to let people know, hey, pay up. And so I asked Mary to put this on the agenda because I want us to talk about what would be next steps. There is another letter that will go out after 30 days from the first date of this letter. That will be in the packet, and their names will be available in the next packet. And so I just want to bring that to attention. There's some big numbers on here. We're $37,000, $37,383.37 past due 90 days right now. Our water fund is hurting bad, and we need to figure out how we're gonna collect this. Mary did share with me, there's some ideas. The city of Taylor's Falls has never turned the water off on people. She did say that she feels if we're going to do that, now would be the time to do that, after we start this process. So we do have that. We're also working on, in the letter we sent out, there's options of getting help, too. So we're not trying to come after people really hardcore, because we know there's hardships out there. So we did put in, is it Lakes and Pines? Anybody that wants to take advantage of that has until the end of May to fill that out, create a username and all that. And they can help with getting you caught up. So we're also working on online payment, and being able to accept, we'll talk about that after this one, but they kind of go together to help people maybe catch up if they would like to use a credit card, because we haven't been able to do that until coming up here. But that's what I have for y'all. I just wanted to kind of tell you what she brought to my attention, and that's why we're gonna discuss it today. So we don't necessarily need to make a decision today, but the next meeting we'll have to make a decision on whether we want to shut the water off. And then also there's an option, we need to let Mary know if she has the authority to go ahead and start sending these bills, and there's older ones too than 90 days that I've seen that we can send to the county, and they can put them on tax for next year, so we can put it on the property tax. With that, there are some on the extended list that we don't have here, no longer living in that address. And so the property owner that's at that address would be assessed that if we do that. So that's just something that we need to take into consideration as well. So,
Yeah, I think the only thing that that I'd had would historically, from what I understand, the city hasn't charged any interest on, delinquent accounts, so that's another thing we should discuss and, make a decision on. I believe it's policy we do, but we just have.
Yeah.
Policy that we do,
Yeah, we have the ability, we just haven't done it.
And it sounded like there was a, the beginnings of a certification process with the county that was started a couple of years ago, but never finished, so I don't know how that stands or if it has any bearing on what we do, but I would agree, it's one way to get hopefully some payment, but if they're not paying their water bills, maybe they're not paying their property taxes either. But it's worth a try.
how many on this list are way over 90 days, and how many, and how much over 90 days? Do we have any on this list that are possibly 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Or is that a different list?
The right-hand column shows the last time they made a payment.
Okay, thank you.
And we also don't show 30 days past due.
No.
Because somebody just might not have paid it quite on time.
And some of these, I mean, the water bills just went out when she printed this, so that's not reflecting either, so some people could have, like the top one, somebody could have paid some of the stuff, like the 98 cents or,
Yeah,
you know.
there's some on here that are 95
Yeah.
cents, 96 cents, $1.22.
Yeah.
Those go back pretty far.
The oldest,
lot of those are-
oldest ones on here is 2009.
2009.
So, so we've sent out the friendly letter, right?
Yep.
And, does the letter, the person that receives the letter have the opportunity to come in and explain why they're delinquent?
Yep, and I think Mary said that somebody already
These
came by.
people,
Yeah.
you know, haven't received a water bill, you know, for however long, so we've had the problem with the water bills going out and not going out, so. It'd be great if people could come in and let us know, why they're delinquent, if they feel like, anonymously.
Yeah, and I know Mary said somebody did reach out to her and they had a really nice discussion. So, I mean, that'll get the conversations going. Do keep in mind too, if we do go the county, give her the authority to start going to the county as well with some of these, that they have until the end of the year to pay still. So, it's just a step, and she wanted to do it quarterly. She asked me to make sure that we could let her do it quarterly. I said, yeah, okay, to me, it's a no-brainer, but,
Right.
I, you know,
Any of that we wouldn't see until the following fiscal year.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
And a lot of the small dollar amounts are for stormwater. I think we should also consider some different way maybe to bill for those types of accounts. Cause it doesn't make sense for anybody, for us to send a notice or somebody to pay 95 cents, for example. So maybe we look at something, those small accounts and annual billing of some sort.
you know, I get one card a year
Yeah.
for stormwater,
Oh.
and I have a plus balance on it, it's like 32 cents or something like that, so, I mean, that's the only one I ever see. But if not everybody's getting that, if it's not separated, we should look at that, most definitely. And then we got to think too, like, some of these, we can write off, there's some larger ones that she said, you know, the older one, some of these older ones from like 2009, there's a $107 one here from 2009 that, they're not here. So we're gonna have to go through the fine tooth comb, of each of these and get their story or the story. Because, you know, I'm not for going after somebody that moved into a house that the person didn't pay. You know, we gotta do our due diligence on that, but I'm also not afraid to say, well, if you're 3 years overdue and you just never paid, maybe we need to shut the water off for now. So I'm just letting everybody know what my feeling is, it depends on the story, but we gotta come up with kind of a unison way we're gonna do things if.
Well, if we're consistent in certifying it with the county, that would come up during the purchase process, the due diligence.
Yep.
So, but I agree with you, good duty.
I guess I would like to hear from our attorney on this, if he's got any input. You know, obviously shutting off the water, going to the county are two avenues we have, even with these County?
No,
Is
they,
this the full list we have?
this is the full list we
Okay,
have,
okay.
and it's the process to let the office do that started a while back. And then it just never got finalized so we gotta start over.
Cause we're looking at 6 years on some of these.
Yep.
It's just, you know, anyway, if you have anything to say on this, Fritz, what are our options, I guess?
Well, your options are what you decide you're gonna be eventually, you are right, if you haven't been doing anything, you do have to start over, you have to develop a policy. You have to publish the policy so that no one can say, well, I didn't know. And, yeah, you can shut water off, if it comes to that. That's your, the nuclear option.
Right.
The other is you can certify those kinds of penalties to the county as well, that just goes on their taxes. Frankly, I've seen it where people actually prefer that for reasons I don't understand, but, as long as you enunciated a policy, and you publish the policy, and everybody that receives water from the city has a copy of that policy, you can do all the things that you've just been talking about.
I'd just like to go on record as saying that shutting off a person's water is extreme. And that should be the very last option, once we've exhausted all other options.
Well, I'm gonna go on the record and say my account is not on this list, so I feel really good about that, first of all. And I wanna thank, the mayor and the staff and, whoever is responsible for bringing this to our attention. I think these are the difficult things that this new council has to do, to compensate for just the negligence in the past. So we do have to tackle this stuff. It's not easy, but I do wanna thank, the city staff and the mayor, for turning these letters around, getting them out so quickly, and this is the stuff we're gonna have to address. So, let's go after it, let's find a way that we can do this and recoup some of this money and start doing things the right way, right?
So I guess I would challenge all of us to come up with some ideas for the next meeting in June. And we can develop a policy moving forward, how we're gonna handle this, next steps, and then obviously when we go to the nuclear bomb, we have to, of shutting water off, how many years, 6 months, 9 months, a year, if, like Tim said, if they're not paying the property tax, by putting it on there, it's not gonna do us any good either. And so if they're not paying that, chances are they're not gonna pay us. But, most of these are manageable, so everybody watching YouTube, please come in and talk to us. And, or call Mary or Michelle, and we'll do our best to work with everybody to get caught up.
Is there any way for us to find out that if the current owner is not the previous owner, like when the current owner took over the property and how far back they are? I mean, that might be something we want to take into account too.
We may find that out once the letters are delivered.
Yes.
If I could just add one last point on the nuclear option, just so you realize how severe that is. If you shut off the water, you render the building uninhabitable.
Thank you, Fritz.
Thank you.
Well, and is water considered a utility similar to electric and gas where you can't turn it off in the winter?
Well, it's not under the same statute.
Okay.
Some of the more interesting cases I've had to deal with have been people declaring bankruptcy and unable to pay, and you have to keep giving them water. It's an interesting twist in terms of this, but the point is if the building does not have water, it's deemed uninhabitable.
I was wondering, if we could request staff, set council, whatever recent policy we have on water sewer billing.
Yeah, well, I'll ask Michelle, you and Mary can see if you can find it. If not, I'll help with it. have anything?
No.
Okay. Any other questions on this agenda item? So we'll just move this to the next, agenda as old business, and we'll come up with a game plan. Hopefully they're all paid by then, and we can. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We kind of touched on that. I'm gonna let Tim talk a lot about this. He did quite a bit of legwork looking into this, but we're looking to offer pretty soon an online payment option through the website to pay your water bills. We know that's been a request for a while, but we hear it, so.
Yeah. So I sat in on a sales call, really, from Express Bill Pay with Mary. It was about 45 minutes long. It was a really good session. The gentleman we spoke with walked us through the whole program, did a nice thorough job. So I'll have some comments on their proposal and some options we have, and then also the other option we had from another firm as well. One of the things I'd like to say off the top is, one thing I think we need to focus on is how to improve our operations, our productivity, our efficiency, our costs. And eventually, things like this, I would like to see integrated into our AP system so that it's seamless. And I know this is probably not 100% possible, but as little interaction staff needs to have as possible. Right now, we get cards and checks and everything is manual. This can be automated. The Express Bill Pay can be automated with Banyan. So I'll walk through a couple things, but their proposal was either credit or debit card or an electronic check. So any of those three means of paying could still be used. This would be online on our website, not hosted by our website. It's a link to an external. It is PCI 1 compliant, which is the highest level, I believe, for security for a payment option. There are two ways. This costs money to do. The transaction fee, there are two options. One is the customer pays the transaction fee. It's 3% plus 50 cents on every transaction. So if we bill out 6 times a year, and your bill is $100, do the math. It does add up. I understand a lot of companies, especially utility companies, do charge a fee. Excel charges to pay online, which I don't understand, but, so that's an option. The other option is for the city to pay the fee, to cover the fee, and it comes in at a reduced fee. It drops it down to 1.5%. And the gentleman we talked to said there's typically between a 10 and 25% utilization rate for online payments. So at most, 25% of our people, our residents, are gonna pay online. The other 75 will continue to write a check out and drop it off here. I'd like to someday see that get higher, but that's the numbers he gave us. So based on that, it's not a lot of money, and if we want to increase utilization, the worst thing we could do is charge our customers to pay more. I wouldn't do it. I'd still drop a check off here. It's always going to be entirely manual then. Really don't need any benefits. I think I had the numbers right. Between water and sewer, we bill out about $200,000 a year. So if we had a 25% utilization rate, that's only $750 a year of fee that the city would pay. I mean, it'd be wonderful if you could get up over 50% utilization. So at 10%, it's about 300, 25% is 750, 100% would be $3 grand. Just to cover all the bases. There are one-time fees and monthly fees associated with this. It's a $35 monthly fee to host training, it's troubleshooting. It's a pretty large portfolio of support you get for that $35. And there's also a $500 initial one-time setup fee. Now, to go fully automated, we would have to buy another module for Banyan. I have no idea what that would cost. But if and when we decided to do that, the one-time fee that we paid is credited towards the $1,500 fee to integrate with Banyan. So we'd only pay another $1,000 at that point in time. And the monthly fee goes up to $69 at that point in a fully automated system.
What do you mean by fully automated?
Integrated, I guess I should say,
Okay.
integrated with Banyan.
And
So
you-
if somebody pays online, you can see your entire water bill if you're fully integrated. It's a better customer experience, you can see all the details. Right now, if we don't integrate it with, you get your card, you still get your card in the mail. It's not coming to you via email. You basically go on, put in some basic information, see how much you want to pay, and hit the submit button. Where the fully integrated pulls right out of Banyan and gives all the details. You can get past history, you can get a lot of different things from a customer perspective. The reporting is a little more robust too, if it's integrated, but the reporting is pretty good, not integrated. We wouldn't see a lot of productivity gains or efficiencies not integrating it. There are some, it's a little easier on those, whatever percent are paying online.
And excuse me, the fully integrated with Banyan would be how much a month? Instead of the
Just
35?
the express monthly fee goes up to $69. So it's $34 a month more when you're fully integrated.
And then you said the $1,500, what would that be? We get a $500 credit on that, is that right?
Correct.
And what was that for?
That was the one-time setup.
One-time setup.
Yep. And again, I have no idea how much a Banyan module would cost. But it's something that we could see how this goes and budget for it in a subsequent fiscal year. Things are going really well, and, we want a better customer experience, and we want more seamless. We can make a decision later on, and we're not really at any risk of doubling our cost on anything. And I think he said it was about the non-integrated option takes about 2 weeks to get set up, and then you click on the link on the website and brings you to the page. Pretty easy.
And this one from Clover, from Fiserv? Is that another option?
It
that-
is.
Okay.
They don't integrate with Banyan.
Right.
I'm not sure what other firms out there are that does integrate. Express Bill Pay is big on the east and west coast. We asked them to get us some references. I haven't seen them yet, but said they do have some Minnesota firms, Wisconsin firms that use it. Got a pretty good customer base from a number perspective.
But Express does integrate with Banyan, but it's gonna cost us $1,500. Right, so.
It will cost it, just for Express would cost an additional $1,000
Right.
to do.
So actually, neither one of them integrate with Banyan at this point. I mean, we're gonna have to pay a lot more right off the bat. And it does sound like on this Clover one, it looks like, the reports would be available and then they would be input manually into Banyan, is that correct?
Yeah, with both systems, when you
That's
don't
what-
integrate it, it's all, we get the checks, I guess the benefit of online is we get the money right away. It's in the bank immediately, a check doesn't sit here for a week or whatever. But everything is still a manual function. Mary or Michelle would print the report, of all the credits that go into our account, and then enter those into Banyan. So it is a little better in that regard, but, with Clover, we'd have to, throw it away if we wanted to integrate into Banyan, and go with something different that did. Whereas with the Express, our options are open. We're not gonna pay twice for the same thing.
But there is a huge advantage to integrating with Banyan, because that is our system.
I think there is, yeah. I mean, I think we've heard a number of times Banyan isn't the greatest system in the world, but the cost to replace it with something different is just too great to bear. So I think this is something we're gonna be living with. So the more we can get it to do work for us, the better off we'll be.
So also, Tim, what is this here, additional equipment available?
So a credit card reader could sit on the desk here and you could come in and pay, I believe initially it's only the water bills. When you integrate, you can do the full suite of services that we charge fees for. I don't believe you could do that right off the top.
Is that $75 a one-time fee, or is that like a year?
It's just to buy the
We just.
equipment.
Okay.
And Express is the only online option, correct?
It's the only one we looked at that integrated with Banyan.
Okay,
PayPal, I mean, there are a number of different, Venmo, I'm not sure what they all are. Their fees, from what I understand, aren't a lot more advantageous. They have to make money somehow.
And we do get a lot of checks, so I mean, if they did the EFT or e-check, it's only $1.
Correct.
So if you wanted to pay online with your check, you only get charged $1. It's not a 3%, the 50-cent charge on top of that. So,
Yeah, thanks for that, I did mention that. And, the other thing is, they carry, the, insurance costs. If there was a breach, a data breach, they cover all of that. The city would not be liable for that.
well, I could see us looking into Express at this point without going to the Banyan integration at this point, just because of the online. And then we wait and see, you know. Because one of the whole points behind this would be the availability or the opportunity for online payments. And I still don't see that in the Clover at all. Didn't see, there was nothing that really came up that, it's part of the full description here with Express. Is that correct?
I think.
I mean,
If
our
you've been
bank-
there on both, with both firms.
Okay.
It's just,
if we have.
when we
one
looked
link
at this,
that-
the advantage went to Express.
So there still would be a link with Clover.
Correct.
It would,
Okay, so there is.
they could still pay online, we just would never be able to integrate it, so then all of a sudden we'd have to go back to
And I
Express.
just didn't see that in the packet. It's not explained here.
Yeah, it's
So
not
it's
very
not
clear.
compatible, but, so we do have Midwest Bank and also, they could still pay online,
Correct.
but there's no future for Banyan at all.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Well, I definitely think I personally believe that we should go with Express Bill Pay and get that moving, just so we have that option for back paying water bills and as well as future. And at least we're semi-integrated ready, and then we can start doing our work for, the future to include Banyan software update to do that.
So I'm not sure if we need two separate motions. I'm thinking one would be to move forward with Express, and the second would be how we want to take care of the fees.
Yeah.
Transactional fees.
Well, we are looking at this point, if I understand this correctly, right off the bat, $535. And the only option is the credit card swipe for an additional $75.
Correct. So just to reiterate, two one-time costs, assuming we wanted the card reader here, would be the $500 initial fee and $75 equipment cost for the reader. The other would be ongoing costs of $35 a month. So, I don't know, $400 a year, thereabouts, a little less than.
And, you know, I mean, we're coming up again, close to budget season, so we can include some of these costs if we need to.
I guess I did do the math. Assuming we wouldn't start until July, our 2023 monthly fees would be $210, half a year. And then the one-time charges of $575 total.
Can 223?
224 the fiscal year of 2023.
Okay, so you're, okay.
And then it goes to
Just add.
420 a year for a full fiscal year. Too many numbers there.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve moving forward with express bill pay for online payment. And then we'll do another one to decide what we want to do. Slow down.
I'll make that motion.
I will second the motion for express.
Okay. And any further discussion on the first part of moving forward with express bill pay for online payment?
I do have a question. Where will residents access this once we say, okay, let's do this? I mean, is it gonna be on our website?
Yes.
Okay, so where are we on the website to get this up there?
They would provide us with the link. It's already, the drop down's already there. So we would just put that in the link and then it directs them to the express website. So they'd hit it and they'd be off Taylor's Falls website at the bank website. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think we should put in here, I guess, the transaction fees at this point, I don't know if this is an option or not, but I guess at this point I'd assess them to the customer. We can change that later. But is that is something we should discuss at this point, right?
Well, let's pass.
Okay.
The first motion was just to approve, and then the
Okay.
second motion will be to decide whether we want to absorb the costs or
Okay.
pass it on. Any other questions? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of adding express bill pay to the City of Taylor Falls website, say aye.
Aye.
All right, now I need a motion to discuss transaction fees. Yeah, let's just do a motion to discuss transaction fees to either be absorbed by the city or passed on to the payee.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion? Troy?
No, I'll stick with what I said earlier
Okay.
at this point.
So,
It's a convenience, you know, I mean, how much, depending on where you live, how much would it cost to come in here and, you know, especially with gas going up the way it is, to drop off a check, so I think it's just a convenience that we can, if we're gonna offer the convenience, then our residents can make that decision, whether they wanna pay those transaction fees or just do it the old fashioned way.
me?
I have to agree with Troy.
Well, we're moving forward with this, and we don't want to discourage people from doing it, you know. The transaction fee would be 1% if the city absorbs it,
1.5.
1.5 plus the 50 cents?
That's not what I understood him say. It's just 1.5%.
Well, you know, I don't think it's a tremendous burden on the city at 1.5%, you know, to absorb that cost. Depending on how many people, you know, decide to do it this way, you know, like we had discussion earlier, a lot of people will just come and drop off the check, you know, as a social thing and continue to do it. You know, we we've had discussion about shutting people's water off already, you know, and we don't wanna look like, you know, Bedford Falls here, or, you know, Potterville. You know, we can absorb 1.5%.
I look at it as, similar to Larry. I think if we want to get a higher utilization, with the city picking up the fee and it being pretty marginal. You know, if we were paying $5,000 to cover the cost, for our community, I would think differently. But, you know, what appears to be the kind of the best case scenario for utilization at 25%, it's only gonna cost us $750 a year. Like I said, if we get up to 50%, all the better. I mean, eventually it's gonna do nothing but good for our business operations.
Does that fee change if if all of a sudden we're just receiving, EFTs or e-checks?
I have no idea.
Okay. I was just curious, cause
Yeah,
I mean, it dropped drastically if we take it on, but then like it's only $1.
Right.
So do we pay 50 cents then? I mean. so-
We can negotiate.
So, at some point though, if it turns out that, you know, we get overwhelming response to this and it starts to cost the city more money, then, you know, we could maybe look at reverting to, you know, putting some of that cost at least on the resident.
Well, the costs associated with this are gonna go to our utilities accounts. So, not saying it won't cost the city and the citizens money, but it should be incorporated into our rate eventually.
I like looking at I think we do 6 months. Or 7, depending on when they get this rolling, if it moves that quick, but, and we absorb the cost to try it, and we watch and see what that fee is. I'm, as a business aspect, the first thing that came to my mind is, well, when we budget it, we're gonna add this in, something, at least something. So that's gonna go into the bills next year.
Correct.
And I think that's just, any business would do that, it's not, you know, so, I mean, I would like to see how it works, and see how it's used, and see how many people use it, and then next budget, you know, when it comes up, we can change that and add it, you know, some part of the cost into the water, too.
Yeah, I guess, being that that's half, we get the discounted rate on the transaction fees, that's good. I don't think we wanna turn that around later though. I don't think we wanna increase that. If we're gonna go with the, you know, the 1%, then we should stick with that.
Yeah, the 1.5% is fixed. So
Right.
it's just, you know, whatever fees the city pays, we'll hopefully get some months worth of data on that, and we can budget for 2024.
Did they say, when they send out increased notices?
I did not ask them that.
I'm sure it'll go out. everything goes
Typically
out,
end of
so,
the year,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So just keep in mind that next year, they could send us a letter and say, we're moving it to 1.75.
Right.
And I believe we can toggle that on and off,
Okay.
so.
Any other questions on the fees? Okay. So, we have a motion right now. The motion is to, well,
I made the motion to discuss.
the fee charges, yeah.
So, yeah, I think we've decided on the discounted rate, right? The transaction fee, that the city will absorb that. The $500 is included in the initial basic setup. And the only other, at this point, unless I'm missing something, the only other discussion is the credit card swipe terminals.
Correct.
And there'd be an additional one-time fee of $75,
If we get them.
if we get it.
Okay. So that's just enabling somebody to drive up here and swipe their card at City Hall and then drive back home, right?
But I get cash back from the credit card. Yeah, I mean, I think we should, I would recommend approving that purchase, but I think we should leave it up to staff to see if we really need that, because it is kind of ironic that you drive here and pay with a credit card. I think the credit card reader would really come into play if we integrate with Banyan.
In fact, staff could show them how to pay it on their phone when they came up here.
They
Right.
could.
So we don't need the credit card, at least at this point, we don't need the credit card. Right.
So why don't we move forward without the credit card reader right away and see what the staff says, see if they get a lot of requests, and then we can add that to something. I mean, eventually, the reader would be nice for people coming up and renting, but until we get Banyan and integrated,
Oh, renting,
the community center.
oh,
Because then
yeah,
they could pay
but
that.
at this point, we're talking basically water, yeah,
Correct.
right, yeah.
That's the way
That's
I
good.
understood it.
Eventually, we could have kiosks out there, and they could just,
But even that could be online too,
Yep.
the whole registration, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay. Any other discussion on the 1.5% and $750 one-time fee, or 500 fee, right? 500.
$535 monthly.
Right. Support.
Let me just ask one quick question. The office would need to be open to utilize the credit card swipe, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
So, yeah, you'd want that secured.
okay, so okay.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions? Okay, well, we have a motion and a second to approve the 1.5% fee the city will absorb, and we will move forward with paying the one-time fee of $500 and the $35 a month fee to Express Bill Pay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 3, new business would be, discussion and, moving forward with, the city office job descriptions and splitting of the positions. They're in the packet, were 2 different job descriptions I worked on, made some changes, so the council, this is the first time the whole council's gotten to see it, the public's gotten to see it, so, I put it in here for us to discuss, we can tear apart whatever we wanna add, take away, to just give a base on where this came from. I was talking to both Michelle and Mary about this. We would like, hopefully soon, to, if Michelle would like to join us, have her come over from Express Employment and be one of our employees here. And when I was speaking to Mary and Michelle, we thought Michelle, in my mind, it doesn't mean she has to, could go to the city clerk and then Mary could be the treasurer, or vice versa. We have other options, but I wanted to put these in here for the council to discuss. Tim met with myself, Fritz was with us via phone, and then Michelle and Mary, and we had a nice meeting. We kind of looked at this, asked some questions, to make sure that we're doing things the correct way. Nobody seemed to have any objections when we met. They thought it was a good idea. It's nice checks and balances that's gonna bring to our office, especially for audit season. It's not just one person doing everything. So we should be able to get rid of one of those check marks that we get, so. That is what I have. So I need a motion and a second to discuss the splitting of the 2 jobs. And then we can go into more discussion.
I'll make the motion that we review the position descriptions for the split of the clerk treasurer position into separate clerk and treasurer positions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Larry, we have a second, thank you. We can go into discussion now. Let's see, I started on this end this time, I'll go down here.
Well, I think on the pros side of things, it does get us to a better place regarding compliance, audit perspective. It gives us a bench as well. And the compliance thing, kind of concerns me. Normal businesses wouldn't operate that way. So that's probably the top of my pro, list. On the con side, it's costs that we haven't incurred in the past. We have decided to bring Michelle on, at least on a temporary basis. So I guess the decision to be made is it valuable enough to make that a permanent, position? But, splitting these has a lot of benefits there. Outside of the financial consideration, there really isn't a downside in doing this that I can see.
Larry?
Yeah, I guess I'm not ready to, move forward on this. We've made great progress so far. There is the financial consideration, and, yes, there's still a lot to do. And we do have, Elizabeth coming on to join the team as well. So, my position is to just hold off on this until we see how things go with, the new hire of, our, zoning administrator, because, that gives us a real solid team. And, to continue moving forward, so far. So I'm of the mind to just hold off on approving this.
All right. Lee?
I think it's a pretty good idea to split it, different job positions. But I also think that, we should put the positions out for review, or post them.
Yeah. Really?
I'm good.
Okay, I just wanted, yeah, I actually like the idea of splitting these positions. I think that gives both employees in those positions an opportunity, to own their responsibilities. It holds them accountable, it holds us accountable. I think it's easier from an administrative aspect to, separate those responsibilities, track them, and just have a better concept of how the administration, how it runs or how the office runs. I do concur with Lee on this as far as posting them. However, I think it's an opportunity for both our current clerk treasurer to apply for the treasurer position. It's an opportunity for Michelle to apply for the clerk position. And the most important thing, it's an opportunity for the citizens to have that same opportunity. I spent Saturday morning at the downtown cleanup. I was with a group of people who wanted to serve their community. They were not paid for their work. They were volunteers. They did it because they loved the city. They wanted to make it a better place to live and a better place to work and a better place to visit. I think members in our community should always be given an opportunity to serve their community. Citizens in our city should always have the opportunity to serve their city. The best thing we can do as public servants is to promote public service. It doesn't matter if the position is a paid position or a volunteer. If we do not allow people who love this community an opportunity to serve this community, we are not only neglecting our responsibility to promote public service, we are neglecting our responsibility as public servants. Public servants serve the public and promote public service. That's what we're elected to do. Those positions should be posted and offered to the citizens of this community. Opportunities to serve this city should always be made available to the people who live in this city. If nobody applies for either of these positions, so be it. At least we as public servants gave members of this community an opportunity to serve their community. At least we as city council members gave citizens of this city an opportunity to serve their city. I do think we should split these positions, and I do think they should be open. I think the people that live in this city should have the opportunity, not only to see that those positions are available for them, but they should have the opportunity to step up and at least apply. That's who we work for. So, that's it, thank you.
Can I comment?
Yeah, please.
Posting these positions, I think, is not a good thing. We have, a good team in place right now, and they're making progress. To open these, to post these positions, we've got to go through, the interview process all over again, and I just think it sets us back, too far from where we've already gotten, with this team that's currently in place. So I think, like I said before, I think we're moving forward, we're making progress, things are getting organized. We're doing great things, but to set us back from our progress is not a good thing.
And I guess that if the people, just because we're doing interviews, doesn't mean that the people who are working here now are not working here. They're still working here. And interviewing is a process. Applications, filing for applications, that's all a process. It doesn't mean that Michelle and Mary and the people who are working here stop working. That's a separate procedure that's going on. It doesn't,
Well, it
one does
shows-
not interfere with the other.
It shows a tremendous lack of confidence in the people that we have working here already.
But it shows an incredible amount of confidence in the people who live in our city.
When you
And it gives
volunteer
them the
work,
opportunity to do that.
Which I just wanted to ask a question, because the way that you phrased giving the citizens an opportunity to work for the city they reside in, it sounded to me like there was a residency bonus component to that would give an advantage to a resident, in some sort of scoring. Is that not true?
And onus being, as far as what?
A bonus points for
Oh,
living in the.
bonus? No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. It doesn't mean they're qualified more so than anybody. In fact, it's possible the people we have here now are the most qualified. And I'm not saying that the people we have here now don't love their jobs, have a heart for their jobs, have a heart for their city, have a heart for public service. But there are other people who do. And like I said, on Saturday morning, I saw that. I think Diane talked about that a little bit. We have a lot of people who want to step up and serve the city, and I think we should at least give them an opportunity to do that. And this is a great opportunity to do that. Not just one position, but two. And I don't necessarily mean the city. We have a great employee coming on in Elizabeth. She's part of the community. She's part of the River Valley. She's closer to home. I think that means she's gonna put her heart into her job. It's closer to her home. And I think we need to give the people who live here, call Taylor's Falls home, that opportunity to apply and serve the people, serve the city.
Fritz, during this whole ordeal so far, I mean, we've been taking it very slow. I've hired people in the past and I've done staffing, but as far as the city goes, this is, we're splitting two positions. It's, we wanna do the thing right, we wanna do it legally. Can you shed any perspective, as far as like posting goes, or, what we need to do, what we should do? Just what maybe other cities have done in the past, if you've seen this?
Well, what you're doing is basically dividing responsibilities among the current staff, which is what I understand you're doing. You can certainly do that. I think you're certainly doing it methodically. And I don't see any problem with you continuing to do it the way you're doing it, if that's your intent. The idea here is instead, well, really, this is a temporary situation. We're going to create two positions and let current staff bid into them or something like that, then posting and that kind of thing would make a little more sense. Normally, that's certainly you do when you're creating a position. So it really comes down to whether or not you're looking at this as the creation of a position or the vision of current work. It's really up to you.
Sure. I'm all for splitting these. I wouldn't have taken the time and thought of this, I guess, and I really think that when I spoke with Michelle, and if I'm speaking for you too much, Michelle, you can tell me to stop, but, we want a flexible work schedule that you already have. And we're not looking to add hours. Right now, she can work up to 30, it doesn't mean Michelle has to work up to 30. You know, she wants to be able, I mean, we want her to be able to get her family and avoid, daycare, if you spoke about that, and I know how that is for sure. Our kids go to the same school, so we wanna make sure that it's a flexible office environment. We wanna continue your schedule, you know, the way it is, being flexible. So that's in my mind. As far as posting goes, there's a few things. I worry that people are gonna leave because of that. That could always happen. But then I also think a year and a half ago when I sat out there and stuff wasn't posted, I thought it was a little weird. Now I'm on this side. It's still a little weird. It is. It's not private business. Just because if it were to be posted, we don't, I mean, how long, I guess, is my question. What would be, I mean, how long do you wanna post it? You know, 2 weeks? 1 week? I mean, what's the thought process on that?
I think if we've got a procedure in the past, I think that we've done 2 weeks in the past. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. We can follow our normal policy. We have it in the city code already. We have, appointments, so this would be a vacancy, or it's not a vacancy, but we do have an advertisement for a position. Says, council shall direct the clerk to advertise for candidates to fill a vacancy or a need. And I understand what Fritz is saying, but we are kind of creating, 2 positions. We're splitting this up, so we have 2 new positions now. We have a clerk position and we have a treasurer position. And one thing you said, Mayor, is that you were concerned that somebody would leave if we posted it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't wanna
Okay.
see anybody.
And I don't either, because they're public servants and they're serving the people, but I guess I'm wondering why, if somebody left because a job was posted, why would they leave?
I'm looking at it as a private industry, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And if I saw a posting in Minnesota for what I currently do, I'd be looking at it.
Right, and I understand that, but that would mean they're taking this personally, right? It's a private issue, it's a personal issue, but we're in public service here. We're not here to serve ourselves, we're here to serve the people. So I certainly would hope nobody would just walk out. And I really hope they don't, but if they did, they're not serving the public. It's not a public service act, so I would hope they'd stick around, and like I said, it would be at least a 2-week process for the posting. We don't do that, none of us just walk out.
Well, you know, if I had a job and I saw my job posted somewhere else, I'd be very concerned, you know, and I would probably walk out, you know. Who needs that lack of confidence? I don't, and neither does our staff. They're doing a great job right now. So I would be very opposed to posting these jobs.
And when election rolls around, your job will be posted,
Well,
right?
it's a different-
Because you're a public servant, you're
It's a
elected.
different story. That's, you know, we're paying these people and they're doing a
No,
great job.
and see, that's the mistake, Larry. We are not paying these people. These people out here and watch it are the people paying these people. And that's why they should have the opportunity to apply for these jobs.
It's good. Good point, Troy.
So, go ahead, yeah, please do.
There's a cost involved with posting. Technically, we're supposed to post it in 2 different newspapers. That's not cheap, it's not gonna cause the city to go broke or anything like that, so there is a cost associated with it. There's people's time and energy to do the interviewing. I'm not not sure what process we'd use, if we'd use something similar to what we did with the, city coordinator, zoning administrator, or something we do, or something we had done with, public works. I'm a little mixed, I think with the proper communication, if we posted these, I think some of the anxiety could be mitigated. But there's already some anxiety in the office that I feel, there's a tension there. And this could tend to exacerbate that. We do have 2 qualified individuals that are performing today. Really, it's down to the council. How the council would want to go.
When you had an interesting point where you said there's a way to do it to calm the nerves. I guess I would like to hear more about that.
Well, I think if you go in, I mean, I've done this before, not the exact same situation, but, just to go in and be honest and upfront and say, we're not looking to replace you. This is just a process that we feel the city has to go through for transparency purposes. There's, for example, Mary's performance from what I have seen previously has been very good. So in a situation like that, generally speaking, you wouldn't disqualify them from one of these 2 positions. So, part of me says, well, it's an effort in futility because you're gonna come to the same result. You're gonna spend a lot of time doing it and you're gonna spend city money to do it. But then there's the flip side of the coin. Right, the transparency piece. And what's that worth? Is it necessary? We've talked about it here. So.
We've got up to 6, 7, 8 years of delinquent water bills that just came out in the interest of transparency. And it's uncomfortable. And I think you're right. If other people apply for this job, we're gonna be put in a very uncomfortable position. But that's our role, that's our job as public servants. And we need to make sure that the people are getting the most efficient, most productive public servants working here in City Hall. And I think we'll do that. I think we'll rise to that challenge.
I'm not gonna be in an uncomfortable position if we post it. I'm not. I'm not giving anything away, but it's something I'm used to doing. I'm not gonna be uncomfortable. But the 6 years of delinquent water bills that you're referring to happened over the course of a number of different staff in the office, and we're just cleaning that up now.
Yeah, and I wasn't making, that was not a personal attack on anybody in the office at all. In fact, if anything, it goes back to the previous administration.
And
In
I just
general.
have to state for the record, you keep saying previous administration, I just wanna make the point, you were part of the previous administration.
I was on the previous administration, I was not in the previous administration.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second. Lee, do you have anything else you wanna add?
No, I mean, just, we wanna be transparent about the job. And, posting it for myself is the best way, gives everybody a chance.
So we're gonna have to do 2 things here. The first one is a motion and a second right now, just to split positions. That's all we have right now. And then we're gonna need to do a motion and a second to decide how, or who we wanna do this with now with all these questions. But we have the first one on the table with a second. So I'm gonna call for a vote on splitting the positions of city clerk, treasurer to the city clerk and a city treasurer. All those in favor of splitting these positions, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
So with the next motion and second, we're gonna need to decide how we want to move forward with this would be, obviously, we've had a lot of talk about posting the position. We've had talk about against it, so we need to decide how we're going to do this. So I would need a motion and a second for posting, and then we can discuss that more and decide from there how we go about it.
I will make a motion to post both positions, period of 2 weeks. We follow, a customary interview process, whatever we have in our policy at this point. We don't need to complicate it, we just get it out there and like I said, post the positions and see if we get, like I said, maybe we'll get nobody, but at least have it out there for 2 weeks. As far as the cost goes, it's probably the least amount of money we will spend tonight. So, even including the papers and everything else.
Okay?
That's a long motion, but I will make a motion to post both positions.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we seconded, now we can discuss the posting. Tim, is there anything you would like to add to this?
Yeah, well, we have a current employee whose position description is clerk and treasurer. So we have a current employee who's doing both of these jobs. I would find it highly unusual that that person not be allowed to take their pick on which job they prefer. In any environment, you know, for-profit, not-for-profit, governmental, it's just very unusual to post two positions when one incumbent is doing both of them already. So I would be against the motion for that reason alone. If there's an option to that, I'd like to hear it, but I think it's, again, highly unusual to take that step.
Sure. I think there is an option. We allow them to apply for both positions if they would like each one of them.
Lee?
Yeah, there's nothing there saying that you can't.
So you're saying post both positions, everybody reapply.
And allow, both the current staff or city office staff to apply for both positions if they so choose.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
can I say something?
please.
Maybe you, if in posting and interviewing, you could give the previous or the present employees a bonus number?
A bonus number?
Yeah, what's that intended?
Like in our tallies, like 1 to 100.
Oh, I
like
see.
in
Oh,
most
yeah,
places.
that's part of it. Okay.
Application, yeah. Tim, I'll let you go.
I'm still opposed to posting these. You know, like I said before, I think it sets us back instead of moves us forward. It's a delaying process in the progress that we've already had. And I have every confidence in the staff that we currently, that the residents are currently paying. So I'm opposed.
I like, you know, I guess in my head, when we started doing all this, I knew, like, in the great world, this person's gonna go do this person's gonna do that, we're good, we're, you know, and I've never, I guess, I've never asked, you know, Mary and Michelle what position they'd rather have. I don't know, or, you know, I guess I just assumed, and I shouldn't assume, so shame on me. I do definitely think, I mean, if we move forward with this, I want them to have, like, us where they wanna go, what position they want. But I also want them to know that we're not looking, I like how you worded it, that we're not looking to replace. We're just trying to be transparent. And that's where I'm at. I'm not looking, and I wanna, and Mary's not here for me to tell this, so I'm gonna come up here tomorrow and tell her. The intent isn't to replace everybody, the intent is to be transparent and create two positions for many reasons. I think that this office could use it for being able to take PTO, make sure we pass the audit better, have people in position, so if somebody gets sick and they're not here, the city doesn't stop, or expect all of us to come running out here and try to figure out how to run the office when that's not our job. So that's what went into the thought process on this. This discussion tonight has definitely brought more discussion, which is a good thing. And, I think we have a tough decision to make here, I really do. And, I'm kind of in the middle. That's where I'm at. Do you have anything else?
Well, you can't be in the middle.
I'm sitting on it right now.
Move it on.
Yeah.
Get
So-
something more.
I guess if there's no further comments on the posting of this, we have a second and a motion, a second on this motion. I will call for a vote, to post the two positions for a 2-week period, in both newspapers and, as well as the League of Minnesota is where we posted the last one. So we can't not take that away.
That's free.
And we did Indeed too. So we have 2 online postings that we did the last one, and then we have the 2 pages that we found out that we should be posting in. So the Chisago County Press, and what's the other one? The,
Ledger,
yeah, okay.
or whatever's across the river.
Okay.
They're cheaper than the press.
Oh, careful.
You get a discount on this one, right?
You can't wait in case
Okay, so, all those in favor of posting these positions, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Michelle, that passed 3-2. All right, moving on, we are, number 4 would be the council and commissions meeting.
Could we go back to process? How are we going to determine the process then? Sometime by the end of 2 weeks, we're gonna have to have a process for interviewing and scoring in place. So we can't let that sit and wait. So would you like the personnel liaisons to come up with a recommendation? Do you want one of the personnel liaisons and the administrative liaison to put together a recommendation? How would you like to move forward with that?
Why don't we do that? We'll put something together for the council to move forward with, and we'll put it, we'll have Mary and Michelle send it out. Does that work?
We should have evaluation forms
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a whole lot of change, except for the rating, the additional rating on current employee, if we decide to go with that, but that can come out in an email.
Okay, thank you. Is that good? So we can work on that and then we'll send it out. We can put it on the next meeting if you want to vote on it. Would you like to do that? Add it to June's?
Well, since I oppose the posting, I don't see how I can objectively come up with a plan.
Okay.
I can work it out.
Okay, sounds good. Tim and I will take care of it.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, council and commissions.
Yeah.
Tim?
Yeah, actually, it's really only commissions, and I just wanted to bring up a couple items. I don't know if we need to make a decision tonight or not, but I just had, a couple of thoughts. One was, we had an event, a public hearing that was kind of awkward because we had a potential quorum of the city council there. It was a public meeting, came as residents, but we're also city council members. And one of my questions is, and probably to Fritz, in my mind, it would seem to make sense that if we want a really well-oiled functioning city council, that we be aware of things that are happening in the city regardless of what commissions or boards we're on. I'm not in favor, I'm in favor of staying in your lane. If I'm Public Works, I wanna stay in Public Works. I don't want Larry meddling in Public Works. He has a question, he can come ask me. But public hearings and other commissions, I'm really interested in hearing what goes on at those meetings. And right now, the only way I can do that really is to attend one. And if there's something happening that, you know, as a citizen I want to attend, we have to worry about quorums. So I'm just wondering if it's prudent, possible, or, you know, not possible, that we post every one of our commission meetings and board meetings like we do a council meeting, that there may be a potential quorum. And then we don't have to worry about it. We can attend, sit, listen, whatever we want to do. I didn't go to the public hearing to make comment. I came to be informed. So that's something that I would like to suggest and recommend. I don't know if that requires a motion or anything, but the other point would be meeting schedules for all the commissions and boards. You know, they're buried in our website, but it'd be nice if, I think we said there's a calendar function on our new website. It'd be nice to post every city meeting event on our website, so you can very easily see what's going on this week, what's going on this month. You know, when's my next opportunity to go to Heritage Preservation? Did that meeting get canceled and I just didn't hear about it? So that'd be another recommendation that I would like to make. And then the third would be, these are public meetings. And once we get streaming set up in the council chambers, I'm wondering if we don't want to require or suggest that these commissions and boards meet in council chambers, so all those meetings could be live streamed on the facility, on the city's formal platform. Either that, or I know there are a couple meetings that happen down in the boardroom, or the conference room, lower level conference room. You know, if we wanted to keep them there, we'd have to set up another streaming system there, which seems like an unnecessary cost. So that'd be the third thing I'd recommend, that they meet here in council chambers, when possible. If there's a conflict, obviously, something else would have to be done. But, and then we can broadcast that like we do a council meeting.
I like that. I would add to it that all the commission leaders get us the next 6 months or 8 months meetings, dates and times, get them to Mary or Michelle so that they can get them on there, because we did have a meeting where they're gonna start being able to update all that ourselves. So we don't have to bug Becky all the time. So, but I mean, I would like that too, so I know in there, because a few of them I've only known because they were posted out there, because I was out of town, so.
Yeah, I didn't know the first CUP meeting happened until I read the packet. So,
I think it's an easy enough fix to, you know, when every meeting is posted, possible quorum.
Yeah.
You know, that's, I don't know if we need to vote on that, but just make a recommendation to staff to add that to each meeting posted.
Yeah, I don't think we need a vote anyway. I know Mary was asking me if I wanted to do that, so I was like, yeah. They're already posting them, so just put that on there. Make it standard.
okay.
Any questions, discussion?
No, I think that's a good idea. I was I was actually a citizen at that public hearing that Tim walked in on, and I was actually, happy, I was glad to see him here. Cause just by him showing up, he showed an interest, I mean, he was interested in what was going on. And I think that's good, and we shouldn't, you know, we should always give that opportunity now available, not only to our council members, but to our citizens as well. I also agree that we should be posting every city meeting event on the website, so if we get a schedule, we get it to Becky and she puts it up there. And I think it's a great idea that the commissions meet here in the council chambers. again, make that visible, transparent, and hopefully for online viewing as well.
We gotta make sure everybody has keys for this room. On the council. Okay, anything to add, Lee?
Oh, but what does Fritz have to say? Is that a good way to do it?
Yeah, a lot of cities do that.
Okay.
You know, it just has to do with, easy little disclaimer, you say, it is possible that, council members may be present, and just coincidentally, you don't just go as private citizens, there's no group of private citizens that shows up in 3 and suddenly breaks the law, you know, it just, well, I hope it's not, if they're bank robbers maybe, but, you know, the point is that, you can do, that kind of thing and not worry about it, even though you're not really discussing together collectively city business, it just takes care of the possible criticism that could happen. A lot of cities do. Good to know, thank you.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? So we'll just work with, Mary and Michelle, and, we'll get a hold of all the liaison should get a hold of all the commissions, and just let's get dates in with, by the end of the month. And so we can get it on.
Sounds good.
And then we'll start meeting here, as soon as the virtual world is up to date, so. Okay, let's move on. Next one on the list would be number 5, the chemical treatment plant.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Lee to give some input on this too, but, the Public Works team has identified some issues with the chemical treatment system for our community water system, the potable water. So it's the fluoride, chlorine, treatment that we do there. We received an estimate of around $3,500. It wasn't a firm quote. There were some materials that were longer lead time items, and they weren't sure how much they were actually gonna cost once they got them. But it's a system that is one of probably our highest risk and liability item, is the potable water system that everyone drinks from. And there's a lot of regulatory oversight with that. So we wanna make sure we're in compliance. So I would like to make a motion that we authorize the Public Works Department to spend up to, not to exceed $5,000 to make the necessary repairs. Like I said, they thought it was around 3,500, but we're not sure. So instead of having to come back again to the council, I would suggest a $5,000 mark.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second, we can discuss more.
Sure.
There?
What were the issues, Tim, and how did they find, because, they test every
Well, it's,
month.
sorry.
Go ahead, Lee.
It's just the wear and tear of the fluoride and chlorine and everything. It eats the hoses
Sure.
and the pump parts and stuff like that up. And so, yeah, they were getting pretty bad, so they just need updating.
Okay, so the water is good.
Oh, yeah, no, the water's
Water's
good, water's good, yeah. It's just that the equipment needs some updating, make sure it runs properly.
Sure, okay.
If you need to come and fill up water, turn on the faucet. Any questions, Troy?
Primarily hoses, pumps, anything else?
You know,
Do you-
I'm not sure if there was a tank they were talking about too.
I believe there's an alarm system as well for the chlorine
Yeah, safety.
that needed replacement as well. That's a hazardous location, confined space type of thing.
No, thank you to Public Works, and Lee and Tim for, uncovering this and addressing it. It's good. All for it. 5,000 sounds like it should be enough, so.
Anything?
No.
Okay, we we got a second, so let's go ahead and vote to authorize Public Works to not, spend up to, but not to exceed $5,000 for the repair of our chemical treatment system for our water. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, number 6 on the agenda, and the last thing is the LMC loss control consultation. I couldn't be here, but Tim was here, so why don't you give us a little insight on what's going on?
Yeah, I'll let you read through the whole packet if you haven't already, but, it's mostly informational. It's something the League of Minnesota Cities provides, municipalities, an annual review from a risk perspective. And it's interesting, some of the things you mentioned, Diane, about, sidewalks being a little dangerous. There are inspections that we should be doing, on a regular basis, sidewalks, parks, playground equipment, facilities. You know, we walk through here and notice some, things that should be updated as well, minor things. But it's really, you should have a formal and robust program for risk mitigation. So we'll develop a program based on this, and I don't know, one thing I just wanted some input on is, again, is that something the personnel liaison should do? Is it a work committee with Public Works? I mean, we can do it a number of different ways, but we really need a formal program. It should be part of our personnel policy manual. There were 2, what I would consider higher risk items that were found in regards to safety training, OSHA and AWARE training that are required of any business such as ours. And they haven't been completed. There's new employee orientation that Michelle probably should have gone through, and that Elizabeth is gonna have to go through, and Kevin should have gone through. The one thing I would like to get approval for from the council would be to spend $15 per employee to utilize what's called NeilGov. It's a safety education and training platform that's provided by the league. It's $15 per employee annually. So the people that would have to take it would be any of our paid staff and contract employees such as Michelle. So our summer help, Public Works, and all other permanent staff. There is one free option, but all it is you get access to streaming videos. There's no tests, there's no compliance, anything like that, or competency, I should say. And the $15 platform includes documentation, tracking, and reporting functionality. So we always have record of an employee going through that. Most organizations have systems like that. Our city does not. So my recommendation is that we approve a $15 annual fee to get our staff signed up for NeilGov. So I don't know, it's a pretty minor cost, I would think.
The office can spend up to $1,000. I would say
Right.
let's just
So-
let that go. I don't think we need to, I mean, we know about it, the public knows about it, but I don't think we need to do it.
So we'll move forward with that then. And the other thing, just major FYI only, is OSHA has matching grant for safety initiatives up to $10,000. So they could fund, you know, the city puts in 10, OSHA puts in 10, we could get a $20,000 safety improvement. And that can be Public Works equipment that can save on lifting and back safety to ergonomic workstations for the office. So something we're gonna be looking into in the future.
Thank you. Any questions, Mayor?
No, good job, Tim.
No, thank you, Tim. Thanks, sounds good.
Okay. Well, that wraps things up. I do have to let everybody know I will not be at the meeting, the first meeting in June. I will be out of town at a work function, so it'll be the 4 of you guys. But I have to announce that legally, so I will not be here for that. What is the date? It's June, is it 6th? Is that the second Monday? 5th?
12.
I don't have a calendar.
think
in front of me,
it's
so,
right
okay.
around the 12th.
12, okay, so June 12th will be our next meeting. We had two people just leave, I wanted to address it, I'm gonna address it with you folks really quick. On the next meeting, I won't be here to discuss it, I'll put my 2 cents in somehow. We're gonna discuss the new bill that's going to be passed, HF 100, the legalization of marijuana. And we just started getting the information, so we haven't had a chance to look at it. Fritz is gonna guide us and help us, make sure that we can do what we can do here locally. So that'll be a discussion. So I was, we had a couple business owners here, for a little while, but we didn't get done in an hour like that week, so. But that's it, so I need a motion and.
I'm sorry, Mayor, if I
Yeah.
can, I do not want to get through this evening without thanking the Lions Club and TSCC for organizing the cleanup, but the Lions Club came through in a huge way. And I can't thank them enough. If anybody's interested in helping out in the community and you don't know where to get started, start with the Lions Club. These guys roll up their sleeves, hands-on, and they're there to help us out. So thanks again to them.
Anything else? Gentlemen? Okay, I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.